Just like having the right information is necessary to make solid hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
State Systems is focused on protecting life and property. As a local, privately owned company, our foundation was built on providing all businesses with complete fire and security protection and infrastructure cabling. State Systems is proud to be a part of the Mid-South community and a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance has been serving the Mid-South since 1954. We've always focused on supporting our community and believed in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts is proud to be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Additional funding provided by Christian Brothers University and Baptist Memorial Healthcare. Get better with Baptist.
This month on The Spark, our theme is safety. We'll learn more about an organization focused on the safety and protection of all children, especially those who are missing or being exploited, a company that specializes in security and guard service that is bringing together police officers and business leaders to work together in curbing crime, and an organization focused on providing one location that combines civil, criminal, health, and social services for victims of domestic violence. Have you ever been excited by a new idea, inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes who are making a difference in their own way, so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders that are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark. They work with 30 different partner agencies across the Mid-South. Their focus is providing one location that combines criminal, civil, health, and social services for victims of domestic violence. I'm here with the Executive Director of the Family Safety Center of Memphis and Shelby County, Olliette Murry-Drobot, and you have a very unique history, 9 years in the making. Give us a little bit of that backstory in terms of establishing the Family Safety Center of Memphis and Shelby County.
There was really a number of community leaders coming together, and Memphis and Shelby Crime Commission really taking the lead and bringing a number of organizations and elected officials together to have a difficult, at times, conversation about how do we really improve the outcomes for domestic violence victims and their families. So it took 9 years of discussion and really getting the buy-in from all of those partners, again, because you're talking about large agencies coming together and agreeing to coordinate and collaborate around services for victims.
And that's the very unique nature of this, is you have one location that's a safe haven. And so instead of someone that's a victim having to go out on their own to 30 different agencies to be able to gather these resources, you're bringing them all to one place. And so they can walk through your doors. What do they have access to when they walk through your doors?
So one, they have access to a compassionate staff. Again, a knowledgeable staff. They can navigate them through that process. So oftentimes we may have someone come through our doors that may understand what's going on in their relationship, and so they know I need access to individual counseling or I want an order of protection. And sometimes they may not have a clue at all. They're just saying, I'm here, I need help. So again, one of the processes we take them through is doing a sit-down initial assessment. We want to understand as much as possible about their relationship and the dynamics and whether or not there are children involved in their relationship, what's been the length of that relationship, are they living with that person. The next step, we started thinking about safety planning because we want to be thought out. We don't want someone to have to leave in the middle of the night and they're rushing in there. We want them to think it through and have a plan in place. So one of the things that we're talking to them about is, do you have a safe place to go? Do you have a code word? So if an incident was happening and there's a violent moment, could you pick up the phone and say, provide a code word to someone so they'll know to call 911.
Right.
Again, we're also walking them through a danger assessment. We want them to, we want to get a sense of what level of danger that they're in, because based on research we've seen, there are certain factors that have a tendency related to domestic violence homicides, like substance abuse. Again, maybe the abuser has suicidal thoughts. Right. Again, there are other things like their access to weapons in the house. So again, we bring all of that into discussion when we're developing that safety plan with that client.
And I think that's a really important note, is that it's not just they're coming in at that point of risk, high risk, right, where it's like, I need out right now, or right, I've already come out. they're actually planning way ahead. So
They
they're
are
being very
planning ahead.
proactive
Yes.
so that they have the right plan to be effective for not only themselves but for their family and their children.
Yes, so when they're sitting down with that staff person, again, we're mapping it out. We're helping them think through the steps. And not only that, when we connect them to our partners, they also walk them through those steps. They repeatedly go through that safety plan, also reviewing that safety plan with the children as well.
So let's go ahead and let's show viewers a little bit more about the Family Safety Center of Memphis and Shelby County, and also to talk to a survivor.
The Family Safety Center is a hub that will connect victims of domestic violence or families that are in crisis to services such as support group, services for their children such as play therapy or child therapy, individuals to individual counseling, also possible emergency shelter services and things of that nature.
I am a 20-plus year survivor of domestic violence. That secrecy and that humiliation and that shame that a woman has to deal with when she's going through that life is something that most people will not understand unless you've walked in those shoes. I'm the first person usually that a victim will see when they come through the door. I want them to receive a warm face and someone who can say, I know, I've been there. You know, I know what you're going through, and we can do this. You can come above it. And I think that this is the greatest place that the Memphis community has developed. Because when I was going through my domestic violence situation, there was not a family safety center. The process for getting an order of protection or just receiving any kind of help was a 2 to 3, sometimes a week or 2-week process. Now you can come in and at least talk to everybody that you need to talk to and get most of the services that a woman going through that situation will really need in one day.
So that gives us a little bit more perspective. I know that one of the things right now, there's about 20,000 cases of domestic violence that the Memphis Police Department deals with. You work with roughly 200 a month. Mm-hmm. What's the typical stay? When someone walks through the doors and they have access to the services, obviously, how long are they working with you? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? I know it's probably going to vary a bit.
Right.
What is it typically?
We do customize that approach depending on the needs of that client. So typically we're looking at 60 days, but oftentimes we'll have individuals to come back. They may need support during that time when they're, again, working on that safety plan, working on the exit strategy. So they're checking in with us again. They may need additional support. So at first, maybe they needed access to a shelter, but now they're ready to go into individual counseling. So again, it depends on the needs and the wants of the client.
And I know that you're using the 30 partner agencies to be the noticers. So
Right.
They're out there looking for things that are a little bit awry so they can
Right.
intervene early. And talk about some of the things that you're doing proactive. I know you do a lot of community speaking, but what are some of the things that you're engaging with the community on to be proactive?
Again, we work really hard with the Shelby County government. Again, we're part of Mayor Lochel's Family Life series. So we're going out to churches and talking about what the signs are, also about the resources that folks can connect to at the Family Safety Center. Also, we have a new initiative we're working on that we're really proud of, working with the Memphis Police Department and establishing a volunteer chaplaincy program. Again, we know about research that folks are more likely to connect to their faith leader when something is going on in that household. So we want to educate faith leaders about what the signs are, about the dynamics of family violence. And again, they're also at the center to provide spiritual support to clients as well.
So you talked about the signs. What are some of the signs? For those out in the community that have friends, coworkers, loved ones, what are some of the things that we should be looking for?
Again, if you're noticing bruises and marks, unexplained bruises and marks, again, you may hear insults. Also, that person may have a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. Again, that person is more isolated, where you used to spend a lot of time with this person. This person has pretty much disappeared. Again, she may not be answering the phone anymore. And so, again, there's a lot of isolation going on there. Also, you may see, again, this person who used to spend a lot of time, on their appearance, and now it's like, she's not paying as much attention to herself. So again, anxiety, fear, depression, all of those are signs.
Gotcha. I know all of that's on your website as well in terms of what to look for, the resource you provide.
Yes.
So I greatly appreciate you, not only everything you're doing in the community, but obviously coming on the show and sharing this information. So thank you.
Thank you.
see their red trucks, their famous red trucks, all over the Mid-South. They literally wear their name on their sleeve. I'm here with Patti Phelps and Phelps Security, and you just recently celebrated 60 years, so congratulations. And give us a little bit of the history for Phelps Security.
Okay, in 1953, my husband's father started the company, and years later my husband began involved and began to run the company for his family. But then my husband and I purchased the company. We decided that we felt like we could make a good partnership, so we collaborated, and it's been great. Our children have watched the company grow over all of their lifespan, so they decided that they wanted to be involved. So we have our 3 grown children working with us now, which is
now
really...
the 3rd generation. I think it's pretty neat. They've all been able to form their own ownership in it and create their own destiny with it, which is really amazing to see. So it's armed patrol, it's unarmed patrol, it's investigative services, it's residential patrol. Give us a snapshot of everything you do at Phelps Security.
Okay, our main product is armed and unarmed security officers for commercial entities, all types. We do a little bit of everything. Also, we have a security patrol service where clients come together to share a patrol because they don't have that need to have that standing officer on their property. We also provide residential patrols. We recommend communities have a concentrated patrol where one officer actually roams in their neighborhood so they get to know the homeowners and their families and so on and so forth. So, you know, we really cover a very broad spectrum. We also have an investigative service division. We have, my husband and my son are both private investigators, so we offer that as a backup product also to our commercial clients and our residential clients if there is something that arises.
And one of the neat things is when you talk about the residential area, you work a lot with neighborhood associations and the neighborhood watches. And basically what you've done, you've created this organization called Big for Memphis. It's an acronym, business interest group. And you get together on a monthly basis and you bring in the colonels, the different precinct commanders, and they give a modified Blue Crush presentation. And I don't want to go into detail because I want you to, but explain Big for Memphis.
Okay, well, Big for Memphis is a give back that my husband and I developed to try to do something good for our city. We were privy to seeing Blue Crush presentations ourselves through our involvement with the police department and our communities. And so we felt like that was something that other business owners and even citizens of our city need to see because it's very informational. It really shows what our police department is doing for our city and how crime is being fought and also how much improvement there is in what's being done here by our police department. So we developed this organization where once a month, we started with 3 precinct colonels that came in and they come and give a Blue Crush presentation which shows, you know, that community what's going on. And I think that the police department really thinks that it's a good thing because now we've grown to 6 colonels of 9. Nice. So we have really the majority of the colonels participate in this program once a month. And we also bring in a speaker, either regarding a crime-related topic that we feel like needs to happen. You know, we've had representatives that came and talked about, school shootings and so on and so forth when those things arise and people really want to know more. We try to target what we feel like the community wants to know and needs to know. We also bring in other speakers that will bring out a topic that shows something very positive going on in our city. We have so many of those things happening, and we like to highlight what good is happening so that we all have good things to talk about to support our city.
And that's a great segue. Let's go ahead and show viewers exactly what we're talking about with Big for Memphis.
Well, Big for Memphis is a one-stop shop for the business owners, and we feel like it's colonels of the precinct. We feel like getting the business owners in one place under one roof, we think that we can reach a larger audience instead of going from one business to another. But because Big has brought everybody under the one umbrella, we can reach a large audience, and that's what it's all about. Before Big for Memphis came on the scene, the colonels did not have a business group to go to. We collaborated with Phelps Security for the Big for Memphis. We get to meet the business owners who are part of our stations, and what we do, we give them the information that they need to keep their business secure on a monthly basis.
So that gives us some perspective on Big for Memphis. And one of the things that you gain an immediate appreciation for is the Blue Crush presentations and realizing how they're using statistical analysis to prevent, curb crime, but also to get ahead of it. So figuring out where all the crimes are happening and then sending those resources ahead of time to be able to curb it. Very important to understand. The thing that I like is you're taking all these tips, you're taking all this information, and then you're pushing it out to the community. What are some of the top tips?
Well, one of the things that we learned is that we can do something to reduce our crime rate ourselves. The top crime in our statistics is theft from motor vehicle. So if we just as citizens will take our things and stow them away, stow it, don't show it, as a big push that the police department put out, and we promote that everywhere we go. Take your things, put them in your trunk at point A before you go to point B, and don't have them in their car before. And don't go to a mall and shop and take things back to your car and let everybody see you put them in there and then go back in. Don't leave coins, dollars, sunglasses, definitely not laptops, cameras, GPSs out in your car where people can see them, because that's the biggest impact we can have as citizens, is to stow it and don't show it.
Because we report everything as a city, and that's the other thing, is you start realizing there's a lot of numbers that go into this, but the reality is we report everything, whereas larger cities, unless it's under $1,000 or over $1,000, they're not going to report it, so it throws it way off. But anyway, so many amazing tips. And the next thing to me that's really important is that you've taken it from the information sharing phase to the action phase. Right. So talk about scrubbing graffiti off a bridge.
Okay. Well, as we were all together and learning in Big for Memphis many things, Dr. Janikowski pointed out to us that graffiti is a sign that your neighborhood is becoming ridden with crime. So we all recognized that there was a railroad overpass at Ridgeway and Park Avenue that had a lot of graffiti on it that was affecting businesses around there and beginning to make the neighborhood not look as premier as it is. Sure. So we collaborated, and everyone brought their resources in. Some brought scissor lifts, some donated paint, some donated paint rollers, and a lot of people donated their time. The police department blocked off the traffic, and we very excitingly had a day where we alleviated that railroad bridge of any graffiti. So it's something we're very proud of.
So when you drive by that, the proud moment.
That's
absolutely.
Right. That's right.
And so one of the other things too that I think is really special for me is that you and your family, Phelps Security as a whole, were very instrumental in the Fallen Officer Memorial. So the Memphis Police Department Fallen Officer Memorial, 62 officers killed in the line of duty, have lost their lives unfortunately, and it's a $1 million project to honor them and their service to our country and our city. And so I just want to personally thank you, because you not only donate your time, your money, but obviously too pulling all these resources together to help bring it to fruition. So thank you for everything you do in the community, and thank you for really coming on the show and sharing it.
Well, thank you. It's been an exciting thing to be involved in. You know, my husband was in the Sheriff's Department, and it could have been me, you know, that lost their husband in the line of duty. So it is an important project to us. We appreciate the sacrifice that our officers make to protect our families and our city that we live in.
Well, I greatly appreciate you coming on the show and sharing that.
Thank you.
Formed in 1984, the Commission on Missing and Exploited Children, COMEC, is focused on the protection and safety of all children here in the Mid-South. I'm here with the Executive Director, Sergeant Lynn Edwards, with COMEC, and it's a collaborative agency, it's a collaborative process. Describe the collaborators.
It is. The collaboration was formed in 1984 after a series of highly publicized child disappearances. The Juvenile Court of Memphis and Shelby County, the Memphis Police Department, the Shelby County Sheriff's Department all came together to assist in an effort to better address the issues surrounding missing and exploited children.
And so, as you can imagine, that's a very difficult area. I mean, there's a lot of specific expertise that goes into knowing where to look for them, how to interact with them, what to deal with them, and a lot of times the police department, they don't have the ability to focus on that. So having an outside agency being able to add in those resources, add in those expertise on both sides, helping the law enforcement, but also to the family, because that's a very scary situation, I got to imagine that's a very integral role.
It is, and I'll tell you, your child disappearing for whatever reason is truly every parent's nightmare. And having an agency that is able to provide technical assistance and to assist smaller law enforcement agencies throughout the state, in fact, throughout the country and even overseas, we've assisted in cases all over the world. So.
Wow. One of the things I think, you do a lot of speaking out there in the community, and before I even get to that part, describe the different things you do, because it's so much. It's drug testing, it's child identification and IDs, it's counseling, so there's a lot to it. What are the things that COMEC does?
Well, the vast majority of my time is spent face-to-face with children, with young people, whether it's dependency and neglect, whether it's delinquency, and working with kids and trying to open lines of communication with their parents, with the schools. It's so important for everyone involved to effectively communicate with kids. I call it raising digital children through analog eyes.
And I like the fact, just knowing you, like, you don't wear a watch, you don't go in when you sit down with kids and you don't talk about time or anything like that. Like, we'll do whatever it takes, but so much of you, I call you the child whisperer, is focused on how can we kind of get to the root of this, but also to heal the family dynamic.
Right, and oftentimes what I say is that the emotion level is so high, the anger, the frustration, the anxiety, and what I try to do is I try to diffuse the situation and open up doors where they can walk through and better communicate with their child, or the child better communicate with the parent. Someone asked me recently about the drug testing program. What does that got to do with missing children? Well, a child can be missing physically, or they could be missing mentally. And a child that comes home from school, goes to his room, slams the door, doesn't come out till the next day, is surely as missing as a child that has been abducted.
So let's go ahead and let's take this opportunity. I want to carry this conversation, but let's show viewers not only the importance of what COMEC does, but the impact that it can have on a family's life. So that gives us some personal perspective on the power of COMEC. One of the big topics that you're focused on is cyberspace, cyberbullying, cyber attacks. Describe your focus on cyberspace.
Well, the first thing that I try to do is make people aware that back in the old days when you were being bullied at school, you could get away from it simply when the bell rang and you went home. Today, in 2014, a child is subjected to that bullying 24/7. It's electronic means. It goes on into the night, and it's every day. And the pressure that comes with that is tremendous on a child.
And what's something that a parent can do? When you talk about putting boundaries, in terms of their phones, their access, the internet, what are some tips for parents?
Well, I think parents need to realize one thing, and that is that phone belongs to them, doesn't belong to the child.
You're paying the bill.
You're paying the bill. And I think you no more take a child his first ride on a bicycle without training wheels, the same way with the internet. The child needs to sit down, needs to be aware of the dangers that are out there, and the fact that there are people that are actively preying on them. They're looking for contact information, what school they go to, what activities after school that they're involved in. And so, no, be aware. Information is the key when it comes to your children and the internet.
Tie that into your focus on trafficking.
Well, a lot of kids, their initial contact with a trafficker has been made through the internet. What they do is the predators look for the crack in the facade of the child, and they exploit that crack. Basically, they convince the child that there's no harm, that everything's fine, that there's a relationship, and they coax the children for a face-to-face meeting, and subsequently, oftentimes, they leave town.
And so when you look at it, this is a very real and a very scary subject matter. For the parents, for the children, for those that are watching, because obviously you deal with this is your world. What are some of the things? I mean, obviously it's open communication. It's getting to know who you and your children are surrounding themselves with. It's setting boundaries. It's love and compassion and creating that warmth in that environment. What are some of those top tips that you say, hey, look, these are the things that you need to be doing that are going to make you safer and more protected?
Well, the one thing I tell them is that if grandma can't look at it, don't post it. Because it's amazing, this information will show up years and years down the road. You know, whether it's a photograph or whether it's a comment or a statement, you know, it's there forever. And it's there for examination. And sometimes the information is going to be misinterpreted or twisted or used in an illegal way.
Well, I love the fact that you're here. I love the fact that you're a resource. For those families that are struggling with this, you're here for them. Everything is totally for free out there, which is huge. So greatly appreciate everything you're doing in the community, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy.
When it comes to safety and protecting yourself, your family, friends, and business, knowledge and awareness are key. As parents, we teach our children not to talk to strangers and ask permission before going anywhere with anyone. We try to know the people around us and pay close attention when doing things like walking to our cars or pumping gas. Small things can make a big difference, like stowing your valuables in the trunk before you arrive at your destination, or making sure that your business and home are well lit. Being proactive by empowering our citizens to recognize the warning signs of domestic violence and understand how to reach out and ask for help are important. I've lived in many different cities, some very large and some small, and they all have crime. What matters the most, though, is how we as a community band together and respond. So thank you for watching The Spark. To learn more about each of the guests and to interact with your stories of others leading by example, visit thesparktv.org. We look forward to seeing you next month. We hope that you'll join with us in creating a spark for the Mid-South.
Just like having the right information is necessary to make solid hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
State Systems is focused on protecting life and property. As a local, privately owned company, our foundation was built on providing all businesses with complete fire and security protection and infrastructure cabling. State Systems is proud to be a part of the Mid-South community and a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance has been serving the Mid-South since 1954. We've always focused on supporting our community and believed in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.